Okay, cool. So thank you so much for coming through. And once again, we are going to look at what the market has for us today. Let's see if that's really possible today. We're gonna dive into the market. Before we dive into the market, we start off with some news and what's going on today in the market. So we've already had a couple of things going on earlier on, especially the New Zealand CPI, which came out around, in the early hours of morning South African time, came out positive. And then we did have a couple of news this morning. And then we do have a couple of things also expected this afternoon in terms of the news. But I think the one that we should be looking out for is the housing stats in Canada, coming out at 2:15 South African time. And then we do have a couple of news also later on. I believe that some of these are not really that important. All we need to do is to look at price action in terms of how the market is reacting. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and look at what the market has for us this afternoon. I'm gonna go ahead and have a look at Euro USD. Right, this is a trade that I'm discussing with Dumelo. He sent me set up earlier. Let me go to a daily time frame first. Now, looking at Euro USD, what Euro USD done earlier on is that we agree that this is a bearish market, and this is a current retracement that we are having at the moment. And what can be the possibility is that the market can approach these areas, which are previous areas for correction, and then change direction towards the downside. So that's a very high possibility. Let me just explain to you in this. Okay, so in this manner, so this may be one of the expectations to see. Whilst the market is doing that, if you look into smaller time frames, you'll see that especially on 1 hour time frame and 30-minute time frame, you see that the market has been doing very well here. Go to a 30 minutes, has been doing quite good in terms of giving us that beautiful bullish structure over here. And this morning we saw a break of structure in this market over here. We saw we saw markets breaking structure just above this area over here. So that's a very important one. But what I was expecting is that was that the market is going to push through lower than these areas to look for a little bit of room to the downside, especially because here in this particular case we have a couple of lows, which I would call them equal lows. So I was expecting market to push further, but if the market doesn't, we continue to follow what the trend is doing on EUR/USD. So we do have other things going on as well. Something like GBPUSD, which is a setup that we sent yesterday across all groups. Currently, the market is in it's just above our entry here. We were in profit last night, even in the early hours of morning. Today, we are in profit, but when the European market came in, we started seeing some bullish orders coming also in place here. There's a huge bearish spin buy also in this area, which is something to look out for, and see if the market continues to push us from the outside. This is an active order. It was sent yesterday. We do have GBP/AUD, which is a setup that we sent yesterday, or rather a signal that was sent yesterday. GBP/AUD, according to the plan, didn't trigger the sell limit. We just missed it, by I think it was around. Missed it around 10 pips, man, and 9 pips. That's, I think, even lesser than that, because what the market did here was very, very low. I was expecting market to trigger that entry, then continue to asset outside, but we move, I think Tumelo also took his trade not as a sell limit, but as a sell, a straight sell. He had his take profit lower than these areas, which was around 40 pips or so, 45 pips, somewhere around there. And that was a good one. That was a good one, right? Cool. Um, don't mind my hood, guys. Don't mind my hood. Okay, cool. So we do have other things going on as well. We do have USD CAD, which is one of the setup that I sent yesterday on the group, right? So this setup here was the expectation, okay, the expectation was that the market is going to continue to the downside and go to this area, which I've been looking at for quite a number of days now, if not, weeks. Quite a number of days. Market came, these are equal lows. Let me just regard these as equal lows. And I remember on one of the sessions last week, I explained that, hey, the expectation here with that, okay, the expectation is that, the market is gonna just sweep this and continue to further down, further side, continue further towards the downside. And after this, then the market is expected to change direction towards the top side in this particular case over here. It's a very important setup here to look out for over the next couple of days, if not hours, right? Over the next couple of days, if not hours. Okay, cool. That is Euro USD, I believe. There is also something on, okay, that is USD we discussed. Euro USD, GBP/JPY is one trading setup that we had going on last week. But I chose to refrain from this because it has been giving us hard time. Also, looking at the edge that we're looking to take take this trend towards the downside and market after change direction from here, continued further, giving us those high highs and high lows. So this right here was a beautiful move towards the top side. So as long as the market does not change this, I won't be able to take anything which is called a sell on GBP/JPY. Look at another thing as well. Things like CAD CHF. So CAD CHF, right? According to the things that we've been looking at, daily time frame and all those things, the market has reached a level of resistance over here, and then after reaching the level of resistance, then the market is expected to continue further towards the downside, right? Now, for me to take this as a serious move, I need some sort of a confirmation later on to say that the market is now going to continue towards the downside, right? So, but currently, I'm just going to watch and see what's going on in this market over here. So, this is very, very important to look at this in this specific way. Okay, cool. We continue to move and look at some other things. This guy here. Okay, cool. So this is CSD/CHF, which is one of the setups that I'm looking at this morning, right? So USD/CHF is expected, to according to what I'm, looking at, is expected to continue towards the downside, to continue further to the downside. Now, what sort of levels should we look out for? Now, in this particular case, I don't align for what I was looking at here. I wasn't expecting market to change direction at this area. I was at least expecting market to change direction around these areas over here. But let's see. Let me do a quick exercise. Let me do a quick exercise here. Let me do a quick exercise. Okay, cool. So yeah, I wouldn't expect market to change direction at 61.8 according to what I've been looking at here. But it's okay. So what do we do here? Let's look at a smaller time frame. I believe what we can identify and go with here is that the market is absolutely in a bearish trend, right? We've seen a couple of things going on here, break structure, lower lows and lower highs, right? On a 1 hour time frame. So we should expect, a little bit of a retracement. We should expect a little bit of a retracement um, towards the top side here. So, and then continue just downside. Let's see how the market reacts after this. The American markets coming in here. So, okay, cool. Good stuff. So this coming weekend, this coming weekend, right? We are going to be having a session in Rosebank once again. We had a successful session last weekend. We had a successful session last weekend, and what we were looking at, is to have another one this coming weekend. We're gonna have 2 sessions this coming weekend. We're gonna have the first session, which is the first session is going to be, the free one. Then later around 1 o'clock, we are going to have a mentorship session where we are taking, taking a number of trades, or not really trades, but setups together this coming Saturday. So it's going to be in Rosebank. So you can book on our number. And then I will see you guys on the other side of the withdrawals. Shalom.